bring you a story now about three fathers, Mike, Andy and Tim, who have found friendship and mutual support from the most heartbreaking of circumstances.
All three of them have lost a daughter to suicide, which is the biggest killer of under 35s in the UK.
Now they want to do something about that awful statistic by raising awareness of the problem and the help available. They've been talking to Alison Freeman.
Devastation's too small a word. You know, you literally are plunged into a surreal world of complex grief.
The world suddenly fell apart around us. There was suddenly nothing to hold on to. Nothing felt real. Just a sickness in the pit of your stomach.
And you just feel as if you're in free fall and you don't know where you're going. It's just devastating, absolutely devastating. And you just don't know how you'll ever recover from it.
Three dads from three different places, brought together by a heartbreaking tragedy.
There's no way that you would have thought that Soph would have thought that suicide would have been the right option.
We didn't see it coming. Not that morning, crikey, no. I mean, just no way.
But I would never have put Beth and suicide in the same sentence. We had no idea she was struggling.
Mike's daughter Beth was just 17.
I couldn't have loved her anymore. She was bright, witty. She was a wonderfully talented singer. You know, the world lay at Beth's feet. Not to have her here in our lives is just unthinkable.
She took her own life in March last year as lockdown took hold. Mike says with hindsight he can see that Beth, who often performed in her hometown of Sale, was having mental health issues.
With lockdown, I think a lot of her coping mechanisms as her college, seeing her friends, her gigs, she saw them all being cancelled. So I think maybe she couldn't see the bigger picture. She could only see what was just in front of her, and it plunged her into, obviously, despair. In all honesty, I feel anger towards Beth a lot of the time. I love my little daughter, I still love her now, of course I'd forgive her, but I don't believe she looked at all the options.
Beth's death created a link between Mike and Tim, the families getting in touch when they knew of each other's loss. Tim's daughter Emily took her life at the family home in Sholdham in Norfolk just days before Beth. Tell us about Emily.
She was mad, she was crazy, she was the life and soul of the party. That's how she presented herself to everyone. But there was another side to Em that kind of only her family and a few close friends saw, that was a girl that sometimes struggled with life.
Emily, a talented artist, was only diagnosed with autism in her teens. Tim says that, combined with the looming lockdown restrictions, left her unable to cope.
There were three things that were really important to her in her life. Driving, working at the pub behind you, that was her life, and then going to the gym. And those three things were all taken from her. And if you're a 19-year-old with, some autism issues and can't deal with it, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. When you lose somebody to suicide, people start to avoid you, people start not to know what to talk to you about, and we've got to put it out there because it's the biggest killer of under 35s in the UK. So your relative died of cancer, you wouldn't hide. So suicide is just when the most complex organ in your brain has had a bit of a wibble and can't cope. So why should I be ashamed of it? I'll never be ashamed of her.
And you were extremely proud of her?
Yeah.
The man heard about another dad, Andy from Moorland in Cumbria, who's campaigned to raise awareness of suicide since his daughter Sophie took her own life.
Soph was just lovely, beautiful lass, very caring. Her career was in nursing. As a daughter, she was just gorgeous, very loud, very funny, and just really entertaining. Just good company to be with.
Andy says that when Sophie died just before Christmas in 2018, she'd seemed in a better place in her life with a new flat and job lined up.
It just didn't make sense. Why did that happen? Trying to understand, I suppose, why she thought that was the only course of action. suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. The one thing that we do know for certain is that since we've lost her, and since we've been actively broadcasting the message about suicide prevention, suicide awareness, and the existence of Papyrus, we know we have saved lives. We know directly that we've been instrumental in people reaching out for help.
Help that could have seen Beth continue with her blossoming singing career. She'd released this song after signing to a local record label.
We've got our issues, we've got our faults, but I'd rather this way than living a day.
The three dads have now joined forces. They're going to walk the 300 miles between their homes in Cumbria, Greater Manchester and Norfolk to raise money for the suicide prevention charity Papyrus, as well as awareness. Awareness that there is always another option.
If you're in that place where you're going to do something stupid, count to 10, because the devastation you leave behind, you might think you're doing the right thing of saving your family pain, but you're not. You are definitely not.
Things do change. Every day is different. If you'd felt able to reach out and seek help, you know, things would have got better.
We've been thrown into this place, not by choice. We didn't choose to be here, but now we're here. We've got to do something with it, and if we can help other people and other families, let's do it.
Stop looking at me now, stop looking at me now, you know that I'm no clown. Stop looking at me now.
It's a really tough watch, isn't it? And we should say thanks to all of those dads, Andy, Tim and Mike, who actually joins us now, along with Jed Flynn from the suicide prevention charity Papyrus. Gents, thanks to the pair of you for coming in this morning. Mike, it's hard to know, what to say after watching that, but this is something that you will live with every day, continue to live with, and I don't know how you ever sort of come to terms with what happened to your daughter.
No, it's like being demolished. It is absolutely like being demolished. One day you're a dad doing dad things with your daughter, and everything seemingly is normal. The next day, everything's wiped out. You're absolutely knocked off your feet in pieces, and it's a case of trying to rebuild bit by bit, piece by piece. But you always have that Beth-sized hole. It'll never mend.
And what you're trying to do now, obviously, is to rebuild and do something positive after what's happened to you and your family. Tell me a little bit about Beth. What was she like?
Beth, when she's little, wonderful little girl, loving, happy, talented, always the centre of attention, always. Everyone absolutely adored her and loved her. She grew up into an ambitious, talented, young lady. She always championed the underdog. She never went with the in crowd, if you like. She went her own way. She was absolutely wonderful.
You were brutally honest in that piece, as were the other dads as well, talking about some of the emotions that you've gone through, and anyone who's lost someone either in their family or a friend to suicide will feel those same emotions, a bit of anger, sort of guilt mixed in, and obviously you miss that person immensely as well. Where are you now? I know you're trying to be positive and trying to bring something out of it, but how are you in and of yourself, Mike?
How am I? Positivity is very important. The thoughts that go through your head after something like this you go into a bad place. It's not that I'm in a very good place, but I have something positive to do at the moment. But like all the three dads, like Andy and Tim and myself, we carry on for our family. We're still dads. We have a family that loves us. We have friends that love us, and we love them back. And that is the reason we carry on.
Jed, you are from Papyrus, the charity which helps bereaved families. I think there's anyone watching this at home would probably look around their own family and think, what should I be doing? How can I talk to my children or relatives? What should I be looking for?
A phrase we've been using recently is sinking feeling. We often say, I've got that sinking feeling. Our message is that lots of our young people are sinking before our eyes. and they don't wear a sign saying I'm suicidal. Many people, Mike, I'm sure you'd agree, say the suicide was out of the blue. And what we're encouraging parents and friends and colleagues to do at Papyrus is to have courageous conversations with young people before it's too late. The sort of conversations that my colleagues have every day on Hopeline UK. Are you thinking about suicide? That can not just change lives, it can keep people alive.
So ask the question.
Yes.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, and if you can't, contact Hopeline UK. Professional advisors, all in confidence, can help your young person stay safe from suicide.
So you're nodding along to that, Mike. Obviously, anyone who's been through what you go through thinks about things you could have done, and I know that must be heartbreaking for you. But what would your advice be to parents, as Sally said there, who are worried about having that conversation with their children?
You need to have that conversation. Knowledge and awareness is everything. And as Jed said, open and honest conversation with your young people. I know it's difficult, teenagers and things. I mean, the sad fact is with us dads, and especially I see with Beth, she, once upon a time, she'd come to her dad for anything, help if she was hurt, she was sad. But then as they get older, you become a person who doesn't understand, and it is trying to keep those lines of communication open.
Because I think maybe that's something that lots of parents would look at this story and think, I would be on the lookout for signs. I'd perhaps notice this, notice that. But actually, there was nothing, was there?
No, but hindsight, yes, there maybe was best behaviour.
What was that?
Maybe she was always very dramatic because she was a singer, she was an actor, she was a dancer and whatever. But looking back, I think maybe there were some ups and downs that maybe we just put down to maybe being a teenager, and I do believe I missed some of those signs, some of her language as well, like, you don't understand, I'm having a bad day, and things like that, yeah.
And how much support have you received from Andy and Tim, and how much of a difference has that made to you, made to them? And with this walk in mind, I'm sure you're going to help an awful lot of people that you speak to along the way as well.
We're very much on the same page. Andy's a little way ahead, but still, it's grief. It's bucket loads of grief. It's very complex grief, but we are on the same page, and we do find that we do actually laugh, and we help each other. Yeah. Absolutely. We are a
Talk me
team.
through the actual walk then.
Okay. The walk is home to home. It's 3 dads, 3 homes, 300 miles. So we're starting just south of Penrith, where Andy lives, and obviously through Manchester, where I live, and then out to near Kings Lynn, where Tim lives. So that's what it's about. It's countrywide. It's a national problem.
And Jed, give us an idea of the money raised from this walk. What will that do? Because there are alarming figures, aren't there, about the number of young people who do sadly take their own lives.
Yeah, the best part of 200 children each year. It's like a whole primary school being wiped out, let alone under 35. The death rate is up to about 1,600 a year. What the money goes to, and the awareness is equally important. We do 3 things. We support people who are worried about young people or themselves directly on Hopeline UK. We equip people with training, skilling them up how to ask that difficult question. And finally, we influence government and others who can make a difference.
All the best with the walk.
Thank you.
Pass on our regards to Andy and Tim as well. I know you start on the 9th of October, don't you? So
9th October, and if people want to have a look, hashtag 3 Dads Walking, please look at our website. It's got everything on there. You can follow the walk, track it, and it's got everything about the girls and us.
We'll check it out. Thank you,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Jed,
Thank
nice
you.
to see you as well. We should say as well, if you've been affected by any of the things we've been talking to Jed and Mike about this morning, anything you've seen in the interview or the piece we showed before with the dads, there's loads of information on the BBC Action Line, or listen to what the advice that Jed was giving this morning as well. That website is bbc.co.uk/actionline.